Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to Shop Talk. Our next speaker is our keynote speaker. She is Kirsty Whyte. She is an award-winning designer from the UK and is also product and design manager at Heels. As a designer, she has exhibited at a number of international fairs, including the Stockholm Furniture Fair, Maison et Objets, the London Design Festival, and several others. At Heels, she works on in-house design and development briefs across furniture and upholstery. And she also manages the annual Heels Discovers initiative. Kirsty, as you can notice by this beautiful watch on her wrist, is the co-founder and creative director for a new London-based watch company called Freedom to Exist. We're so delighted that she's here with us this afternoon. She's going to talk about designer collaborations. Over to you, Kirsty.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for the lovely introduction there and the little Freedom to Exist post there. So what I wanted to do was talk to you a little bit about Heels and its heritage, how I got to where I am at Heels and what I actually do there, and how Heels actually works with retailers. So we'll go on from there. So I don't know if many people know about Heels. Some people know everything about Heels. Some people know nothing about Heels. So Heels is actually founded in 1810, so we're over 200 years old. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, that was the year Sense and Sensibility was published. So we've been making furniture and beds for quite some time. So we actually were the first retailer to make metal-sprung mattresses. Before then, it always used to be feather-filled, sawdust and all sorts of things that used to go into a mattress. So actually you can see on the top right hand side is where we used to make our mattresses, which is actually still in our flagship store. We actually became known as the place of the four-poster bed before we even had a number on Tottenham Court Road, and our sign for the outside of the shop was a four-poster bed for nearly 200 years. We also became known as making beds for the Crimea campaign. So on the right-hand side here, you can see an officer's bed, but it wasn't just a bed that went on the back of the horse. It was actually curtains, chairs, bed, all the bedding. I feel quite sorry for that horse, but it was all for the princely sum of 12 shillings and 6. Our prices have gone up a little bit since then, but we hope that our quality and innovation haven't. Ooh. Moving on from there, we actually moved into from mattresses to bedroom and bedroom furniture. This is actually our Tottenham Court Road store. If you come to see us now, we still have those metal columns. We don't actually make quite so many metal beds now, and what we have done is actually moved into bedroom furniture. Heels was one of the first retailers to actually start selling room sets. So on the right-hand side, you can see our arts and crafts room set. We actually sold beds, bedroom furniture, we sold the curtains, we sold the carpets, and we were one of the first retailers to sell everything you could see and buy in our room sets. And to know that it was a Heels product, we have a little Heels roundel in all of our little drawers. They used to be made from ivory. We have actually moved on from that now, so we all now have metal discs in all of our pieces of furniture. And Heels has always been known as a place for collaboration and working with designers, as well as having our own creative director, Ambrose Hill, at the time, from the 20s to 30s and 40s. We also work with external designers, and that's still really, really important to us today. We also want to show craft and making. So one of the things that Heels do now is actually we have a pop-up every year. We've actually just missed it, unfortunately. It's the craft market. So we actually have bodgers in the window, people making fabrics, people turning their ceramics actually in the store. So it's all about the theatre and the making. So even though we're a retailer and actually do buy large products off the shelf, we also try and keep the value of handmade products and making and craft within our retailing environment as well. And you can also see this is a little bothy here, and we like to show our customers the whole making process from start to finish. Also, as part of Heels, we have a dinner with the designers. So some of you here may have been lucky enough to come along to the dinner. I've actually spotted one of you over there. What we do is every year, as part of London Design Festival, we invite all of the designers, past and present, we've worked with, to come and join us within our store. And here you can see a couple of famous faces there. You can see Katie Water, the Pinch And also we've got Sir, I'm trying to see who we've got in there actually. Well, there's always quite a few of us there for dinner actually. And so what we try and do is work with those designers and establish those relationships and actually continue to work with them over the decades. So this is a little bit about me and how I got to where I am, and then we'll talk about how Heels products actually get into our stores. So this is me after university. I went and studied in Kalmar University in Sweden and studied glass design. Actually, it takes 11 years to become a master glass blower. I was only there for a semester, so I made some really wobbly Christmas presents. But one thing I did learn while there was the process of making. And I think that's something that's really important that goes through all Heels product and all designs that I've worked on, actually using the material to its full potential. Other things that I've done is actually I worked at Habitat for 5 years, from being on the shop floor to being a store manager to working in the head office there. I also did some internships with Raw Edges and Tom Dixon and designed their glass knob range, which they still sell today. After I left Habitat, I actually took the opportunity to set up my own design studio. And when I did that, I actually launched my first collection at Milan 2009 as part of Designer's Block. And then the following year as part of Hidden Art in the Salone Satellite. And all of those products that I worked on and developed actually got licensed. So we have some products here. So we have the Drew range done by Modus. We have the Array bowls that were sold by Paperchase. The Limpet hooks by Made.com. The Twist tables, which is actually taken on by Heels. And also the Ready Wall hooks by Norman Copenhagen. After I was freelancing, I ended up working full-time for Made.com. And I lived in Shanghai, working from their Shanghai office, working directly with factories. So it was all about the making process. So as well as buying, I designed and developed products there. And it really helped knowing the start to finish of products. So basically, I got it from a sketch to the box. After that, I moved on to Heels. So as you know, Heels is the place of the four-poster bed. But when I started at Heels, we actually didn't have a four-poster bed of our own anymore. So one of the key projects was actually to work on our bedroom ranges. So we introduced 2 four-poster bed ranges, as well as lots of other items. So here we have the Abacus bed. We have the Lucinda sofa, the Blythe range, which was launched last season, and the Tower shelving unit, which is a modular shelving system. And so these are all things that were designed and briefed in-house, and we now sell today. So who shops at Heels? This is quite important. We always try and establish who our customer is before we buy a product or brief a product or design a product. We have a breakdown here. So we have up and coming. They even have names. They're not real people, but we try and give them a little brief, like where they live, what they buy, what's their income, how far they live from a Heels store. It's all really important for us to make sure that we're designing the right product. We also have core cosmopolitans. We also have affluent family life. And then we have wealthy, heavy spenders. That kind of does what it says in the name there. You can go ahead and work that out. And then we also have mature advocates. So these are actually our core customers still. They're customers that have been aware of Heels for a really long time. And actually their children have moved away and they've taken the opportunity to then invest and buy brand new product. This is a new section of customers that we didn't know existed before. Originally we thought they were just keeping their products, but actually they're actually investing in our designer brands as well. So all of these customers we take into consideration when we're doing our design briefs. So, routes of production into Heels. We work in 4 main ways, as most retailers do. Off the shelf, so that's where we've seen a design and we like it and we purchase it and it's exclusive to us. In-house design, well, either myself or we actually brief another designer to work on a project. Designer collaboration, that might be where we've seen a product that we like and we've asked them to do something specific for Heels. Or designer wholesale, which is kind of more suitable to Pulse, where you have designer makers and we purchase the items directly from you. So, how to get a product into Heels? This is the main question that I always get asked. Well, some people think it's a bit like X Factor, but really it's not about having a one-hit wonder. We actually want to have lots of different products that do different things at the same time. We work on a seasonal basis, so autumn, winter, and spring, summer. And that's always about a year ahead of itself. So if you're ever presenting anything, in the summer, present winter items, and in the winter, present summer items. That's the way it kind of works, I'm afraid. So what it is actually more like is like Tony Hall at the BBC. You might want to know why that is, but what Tony Hall has to do is actually, he has lots of different TV channels and lots of different times, and all of those slots have to be filled. And buying is very much like that. We might have some higher price point products that we don't sell as many of, but they're the prestige items. Or we actually have items that are lower price point, but we sell large volumes of. Just to give you an idea of how that works in a buying scenario, it's not very exciting, I know, but this is what I do on a day-to-day, I'm afraid. So we have a visual matrix here. So you have your price point to one side, and then you have the aesthetic going across. And what you can see here are the red spots, are where we've found that we have a spot that's missing. So we've identified that we actually would need to have a more fashion and contemporary piece within our better price bracket. So then what we do is then decide which items we're going to brief, which items we're going to buy, and then which items we might develop in-house. So, and how that works in the BBC concept is a little bit like this. So you have the weather that you have every day. You don't have bake-off anymore. I need to change that slide, but let's just have the memories, guys. And then we also have, late night BBC 3 TV that isn't on as often, but we all have to fill those slots. So when you're presenting a product, always think about where it would fit within the store. So one of the ways that we do designer collaborations is Heels Discovers. Now, I've spotted 2 of our Heels Discovers in the crowd today, so it's obviously that we've spotted the right people to discover. So Heels Discovers was launched in 2004. It's part of an annual initiative where we select up-and-coming designers across different categories that we then mentor and help develop products and then also get their products to market. We may do that as a wholesale way, we may brief them, or we may also produce their products. So just going across the board, we've got 2013 to 2016 there. And the products across the bottom, these are just a few of the products that we've launched for Heels Discovers over the last 11 years. Well, 12 years now. So we have the Louis range that was designed by John Reeves. We have the bookshelf there by Benjamin Hubert. We have the Eve's desk by Russell Pinch, which has actually just been brought back into Heels. We have a range by Lee Broom. We have some tea towels by Jacqueline Colley, who's actually exhibiting on C33 today. And then we also have the Sandcast stools by Sam Lloyd, the Miami table, and then also on the end we have the Oak and Hazel range by Seb Cox. Now, I was actually Heels Discovers in 2011, so the process obviously does work. And what we actually do is we spot up-and-coming designers that we can work with and develop, and then also hopefully re-establish relationships and continue working with them in the future. Get them while they're young, basically. So 2 products that we actually have worked on a development basis. These are the Sandcast stools on the left-hand side. This was actually a range that was just low stools by Sam Lloyd at the time. And we actually wanted to have a full collection, so we chose different colorways, chose different manufacturing processes, and we actually helped invest in a tool so you could actually mass produce more of the items. And this is us in the foundry actually seeing the items being made. Other ways that we design and develop ranges are, this is the Rickard step stool here on the right-hand side. You can actually see all the different prototypes that the boys have been working on here. They're cardboard originally, and then some lower price point timber, and then the final prototype on the end. So we looked at materials, prices, and what our customers actually wanted. And both of these were really, really popular, good-selling ranges. And we actually are now trying to establish new briefs to work with these designers on in the future. So that's kind of how Heels Discovers works. And move on from that is our designer collaborations. So our main one that I thought would be quite interesting to talk about is Tree to Table. So Tree to Table was all about championing the British beauty of British-grown timbers and craftsmanship. So here you have Seb Cox and Anthony Dickings looking quite menacing with his metal leg of the Tree to Table. These are actually both Heels Discovers designers, 2003 and 2006, I think it was. And so we actually brought them together to do a designer collaboration for a product exclusive to Heels that was actually going to be launched as part of our celebration for timber in October of that year. So the way that it worked was we wanted to show there's lots of other different types of timber that you can use, not just oak and in the home, and they all have really beautiful qualities, and it wasn't all about having everything perfect. So we kept the waney edge of the timber, And then we actually had hand-forged legs. So these were actually made by the forge in the UK. And the development process was quite long because it hadn't been done before. And what we actually worked with was the forge and the 2 designers. And they went through lots of different increments making this product, making it to the right price point that we wanted, and making it within the time scale that we wanted. So here are a few more pictures of the development. So there's Seb giving it a go in the forge. He said it was surprisingly hard. And you can see that they made lots of different versions of it, tried to get the right qualities of the timber. And this is exactly the same as we do across all different categories, from lighting to homeware. It's not just this is the final product, there's a development to that. And then we have them going, so this is another sample review. So we might have 2 or 3 reviews of samples just to make sure the product's just right. This is in Seb's workshop, and then we're just looking at the table and the proportions. And then last but not least, we have the final pieces. So this is the photo shoot. This is at the press show. We actually have the final pieces and the bench here, and then you can also see it in store, so how we displayed it with the 3 different finishes. And we had a story and a video, and it was all about that making process. And what the customer actually did was purchase the tabletop that was on the shop floor, so they could actually choose and pick their table. So it was all individual to them. And that's kind of just one small example of how we develop products. This is probably one of 3 that we do a year, including Heels Discovers. So that's kind of it. That's sort of how we've worked with suppliers and how we go on from there. I don't know if you have any questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer those for you across different categories.